Them boys down in Houston, they got the streets on lock. But just in case they slow and don't know, somebody tell them to know.
Hey yo, what it do? It's your boy J. Lou, and you are just in time for something new. Alright, now in today's video, what I'm going to be talking about is how to get waves with Murray's. You know what I'm saying? Now, I know a lot of people know about this product. I've never done a tutorial on it. I know I owe you guys this tutorial. And I figured it'd be the perfect time to do it because I recently curled up my hair into like a fro. Simply because I've been sick, and typically when I'm sick, I don't really care about rocking my waves because all I'm focused on is trying to get healthier, right? With that being said, let's not waste any more time and let's just jump straight into the tutorial. All right, now when it comes to Murray's has been around since 1925, you know what I'm saying? Originally, it was used just to be able to put on the edges of your afros to help give your afro a lot more shape and definition and things like that. People from other different ethnicities typically use it to style their hair back. Now, when it comes to the back of the can, what it says is it holds the hair in place and it controls and enhances your natural waves. Now, that statement about controlling and enhancing your waves, that was something that was recently added. But at the end of the day, a lot of people have been using Murray's for a long time period. Some people would typically say,
hey, I don't want to use unnatural products, blah, 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 blah.
But if it's been around since 1925 and people been using it and you don't see a whole amount of people running around talking about
Murray's is the reason why my hair fell out.
I really don't know the reason why people continue to put this bogus information out there like that. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, moderation is key. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the directions and show you guys how to properly use Murray's pomade when it comes to getting waves. Now, the directions on the back of the can says you rub Murray's pomade into your hands to soften and rub thoroughly into hair, comb or brush into style desired. For waves, apply at night after dampening hair with warm towel and use a stocking cap to hold your hair in place. Now, I don't need to soften the mix, but one thing I do need to say is a lot of people typically think in order to soften this product, they need to put it in a microwave. That's actually one of the worst things you can do, not only because it's a metal canister or whatever the case is, but also if you put something in a microwave, what it will do is it will break down the molecular structure of the ingredients and you really won't get any benefits of it. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, if you need to soften it, you can use a spoon to basically dig it out and apply it to your hair. All right, now before I get into this tutorial, one thing I want to say, and I gotta break this down because a lot of people don't understand. They brag about being able to have this canister for a very long time period, and people would typically say,
oh man, ain't nobody ever used a full can of Murray's or whatever the case is.
I'm pretty sure you guys have seen videos of people putting 100 layers of Murray's into their hair and all that stuff like that. But despite all the memes and all the things that people have been saying, on the back of the label, it actually tells you how long you can keep this product. This little icon right here tells you how long from your purchase date you are supposed to hold on to this product. Now, on the back of this can, it basically has the 6M, which stands for 6 months. So 6 months after you purchase this product, you're supposed to throw it out. Some people typically think,
oh man, I can use it forever.
No, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to keep it only for 6 months. So when I went to go buy this bad boy, the best way to keep in mind is the date that I bought it. 6 months after that, I put a note in my phone that said, Siri, remind me to throw this stuff away on 6 months after today's date. That's the easiest way for you to keep track of it nowadays. All right, so that's enough of a disclaimer, you know what I'm saying? Now let's get into the tutorial and let me show you guys exactly how I would use Murray's to be able to bring my hair back. As you guys can see, in regards to my pattern, my hair, I've been rocking a curly fro for about 3 days. You know what I'm saying? I haven't been sleeping with a do-rag. I haven't been doing anything because I truly, whenever I get sick, I don't be feeling like doing anything. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, now before you put pomade in your hair at all, you want to make sure that your hair is properly clean. You want to make sure that you shampooed and conditioned it, applied maybe a moisturizer or maybe even a leave-in conditioner or even an oil. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to pomade, pomade is a sealant. Pomade is not a moisturizer. Pomade will actually dry your hair out over a certain time span. And for me, I only use pomade once a week if I use it. You know what I'm saying? If I don't wash my hair, I'm gonna wait 7 more days until I use it again. Now, if I do wash my hair, I can use pomade again. But at the end of the day, I try to limit my use to only 1 time a week. You don't need to be applying it every single day. I know when I was a kid, that's what I thought I had to do. I thought I had to put a whole bunch into my hair and just brush like crazy, put a stocking cap on and everything like that. And then all of a sudden in the morning, I thought I was going to have waves, and I was just like you guys, mad at the reason why I didn't have waves. It was because I did not understand the importance of my curl length. I didn't understand the importance of my hair health and all these little things that definitely play a factor when it comes to getting waves. So with that being said, the first thing you want to do is take a hot rag. As you can see, this bad boy is dry. You want to take a rag and run it underneath some warm water to warm it up, and then apply to your hair, because what you need to do is you need to open up your hair cuticle with the hot water, warm water, whatever you want to call it. And then what that does is it softens your hair and allows you to be able to style your hair in the desire that you want. So let's not waste any more time and let's jump straight into that. All right, now after you have ran the towel underneath water, what you want to do is basically rub the towel in the flow of the pattern that you're trying to go for. I'm not gonna lie to you guys and make it seem like I didn't have waves. I already had waves previously to that. But by doing this method, what it's going to do is, if you don't have waves, it'll help you develop them. If you do have waves and you're trying to bounce back, I sometimes use pomade to help my waves bounce back from a long time period, because that pomade has that extra hold to it, you know. So that's basically what I'm about to do right now. Alright, now after you have taken the towel and basically just rubbed it around your head, just try to feel your hair and see if it is damp, see if it is softer, because you want to make sure your hair is in a malleable state. That's basically what the water's doing, you know. So what I tend to do is pat it around. If I feel like I need to do it one more time, what I will do is take the towel. Sometimes you can throw it in the microwave, put it on for like 5, maybe 10 seconds, warm it up. Make sure when you grab it, it's not too hot, because you don't want to burn your hands or anything like that. But then just simply put it on your head like this, and then just rub it in the direction that you want it to go in. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, now everybody always say whenever you open up the can of Murray's, there's a certain sound that comes from it. You know what I'm saying? So let me just go ahead and see exactly what sound that is, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. It ain't just about getting waves. It's about being wavy, you know. So let's take a listen. Did y'all hear that? Hold up. From Ace Time, man. We're gonna try to see if we can get something else. Alright, so with that being said, y'all already know what time it is. Now, one thing I like about Murray's, despite what people try to say about it being an unnatural product and it had petroleum and all that stuff in it, the smell of it is amazing. There's a lot of natural products and even some unnatural products that just smell like crap, you know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, the fact that this pomade has a good fragrance to it, that's one thing I respect about it and one thing I like about Murray's. And at the same time, it's something that you can find in Walmart and most stores around America. So with that being said, when it comes to applying it to my hair, what I try to do is, depending on my hair length, I take about the amount that I need for that, you know. So if you are on a fresh cut, you don't need pomade. This is more so when you enter into 2 or 3 weeks after you get a haircut, and from that on up, you know. So if you're 2 or 3 weeks into your haircut, what you could start off with is a dime size amount. But if you are at the 5 weeks and up, then you may need to go to a nickel, maybe even a quarter size amount for your hair. So with that being said, let's get into it. So you basically rub it in your hands like the Karate Kid, just to soften it up. And this stuff will get hot if you rub your hands really fast, so sometimes you may have to slow it down. But just be careful, rubbing around like that. And once you got an even consistency, one thing that you will notice about Murray's is it doesn't really give you that shine effect because it has more of a glazed look. So whenever you apply to your hair, do not expect to be walking around looking like Silky Johnson as if your hair is stupid shiny. More so, you're gonna have a glazed look on your waves unless you apply other products to give your hair shine. So with that being said, just take your hands like this and tap it around your hair just as such. I typically start off in my crown area because I brush from my crown and I want the product to distribute more so from my crown. I don't want to have product too much on my face because when you apply the product closer towards the edges, when you start brushing, you can have that tendency to have product that will go into your face and stuff like that. So I apply it mainly in my crown area. I tap it slightly in my temple areas and things of that nature, you know what I'm saying? But for the most part, you want to apply it in your crown area, which is known as the bald spot in the back of your head. So, and because I have a swirl when I finish it off, what I'm doing to try to get all the product off my hand is I'm simply just trying to rub it around my head just like this. Alright, now after you have applied it to your hair, what you want to do is wash your hands. Now, with this tutorial, I know a lot of people that typically, if you can only afford Murray's, most likely you can't afford these brushes to the side right here. I don't want you guys to focus on that. All of these brushes was given to me as a gift for me to do reviews on them over the years and things like that. Some of these brushes I've actually purchased for myself as well. But I want to use a brush that you guys can find in stores, and that is a Wave Enforcer 544. But before I use that brush, what I'm going to do is take a comb to comb it and distribute it through my hair. A comb will also help detangle my hair. So with that being said, let's get straight into the process. Alright, now when it comes to combing your hair, you can just comb your hair for maybe 2 to 5 minutes. You don't really need to comb it for a very long time period. And then after that, what you want to do is get into your brush session. And like I told you guys, I'm going to be using the Wave Enforcer 544. Even if you do have these brushes, the Torino Pros and the Royalties, I would highly suggest that you still use the Wave Enforcer 544 because it's a more affordable brush that you can find in stores. And when it comes to brushing in pomades, you don't want to be using the better brushes to brush in pomades and stuff like that. You can do that, but me personally, just to help preserve my brushes, it's kind of like shoes, right? If you get brand new shoes and you a hooper, some people don't mind playing in their shoes and then they walk off the court. But real hoopers, once they finish the game, they take their shoes off, they put them in the bag, and they never step on any other surface besides the gym. So with that being said, if you a waver, you know what I'm saying, you understand exactly what I mean. But if you just somebody with waves, then go ahead and use whatever brush that you want to use, you know. So with that being said, let me go ahead and get this brush session in and show you guys what the results gonna be looking like. Alright, now when it comes to brushing your waves, brush it in the desired pattern that you want. I'm going for a swirl. There's 3 different patterns that you can go for, and in between every single pattern, you can have a hybrid. You can have 360s, 540s, and 720s. On my right side, it looks more so like 720s, which basically means my waves come down straight like this. So I typically brush my right side straight down. To the back of my pattern, I don't really focus on defining this. It's more so just I try to make sure I brush to connect with my left side, which basically is my left side looks more so like 360s. So 360s is the style that most people typically prefer. After this pattern, that's the pattern I'm gonna go for. But when it comes to brushing my side for 360s, basically what I do is brush it in this direction. Alright, now when it comes to the top of my pattern, the top is more so what they call 540 waves. It's a 540 slant, and then it goes straight into the 720s. Now when it comes to my top, because my top is more so of a slant, what I need to do is make sure that I brush it at a slight slant angle as such. Now, when I get closer towards my crown, which is this little spot right here, as you guys can see, and when I get closer, it's easier to tell where the crown is because your hair naturally swirls around it. What you want to do is only use the corners and lightly brush in those areas to pull your hair in the direction that you want it to go in. The further I get away from my crown, then the more my brush angles and strokes, they get a lot more longer, you know what I'm saying? But whenever I'm closer towards my crown, I have shorter brush strokes and they're very precise. Alright, now one thing I do want to point out is whenever I'm brushing my hair, notice that I don't have that bobblehead effect. A lot of times when you get lost in a brush session, sometimes what people tend to do is they use their head to brush their hair instead of the brush to brush their hair. You know what I'm saying? So basically what I mean by that is when I'm brushing my side just like this, I'm just moving the brush. Some people, what they do is they start moving their head in the same process and they can throw your angles off, you know. So if you're trying to get waves, no matter if you use the Murray's or any product on the market, what you want to do, the key to getting connections is making sure your brush strokes are always precise. A lot of people typically say with this pattern, they wouldn't want to go for a pattern like this because it's too complicated. But at the end of the day, I chose this pattern just to be able to show people that we can do almost anything with our hair if we choose to, especially when it comes to making patterns in our head when it comes to waves. So with that being said, you don't have to brush the same way I'm brushing, but if you want to get regular 360s, you can still use this process. Alright, now one little tip just to give you guys, for me, since I have my hair in a curl state, one thing that tends to happen is as black people, our hair, it naturally wants to grow out just like a flower does, right? So sometimes what happens is when you try to go back to getting waves, what you need to do after you finish your brush session is you need to either take a plastic bag, your hands. I know as of now, they have all different kind of tools. This thing right here is called a wave glider. You can basically use this to rub it across your head. If you guys want me to do a product review, make sure you leave it down in the comments below. But you can use all these different tools to basically help lay your hair down before you rag up, because for me, my hair naturally wants to stick up and go into an afro. So what I'm gonna do is I naturally just take my hands like this, and the main reason why I do this is simply because I'm trying to take some product out of my hair, but at the same time, your hands can serve your hands basically do the same thing that a plastic bag would do, you know. So for me, it works better more so whenever I'm just trying to lay my hair down before I put a do-rag on, because I try to simplify everything, and I'll just take my hand as such and then just rub it around my pattern and basically try to lay my hair back into place, you know. So with that being said, there's just a small little gem that you guys can use So the next thing you're gonna do is just take a do-rag, and y'all already know when I put my do-rags on, what I do is I do not tie them. You know what I'm saying? I basically pull it down somewhere right here. I'll take a compression cap, put it on top of my head just like this, and then stretch it out from the compression cap. Basically rub it in the direction that I want my waves to go in, and fold it up if necessary. Now, with that being said, if I need to, if this thing is hanging down too far, I can always take it and then just tuck it underneath the compression cap right here. And that gets rid of that whole boo-boo effect or look or whatever the case is that's on these type of stocking caps. But you can use any stocking cap you want. I'm basically rocking for at least 30 minutes. You know what I'm saying? 30. You want to rock it for at least 30 minutes. And you also want to make sure that your hair, that you're in some kind of AC, because if you're outside when you're on rag, if you're in heat, if you're outside when it's rainy or whatever the case is, as soon as you're on rag, your hair is going to start sticking up. So with that being said, make sure you always rag up in an AC place and unrag in an AC place as well, you know. So, but y'all give me some time, I'm going to come back and show you guys the results. Like I said, I haven't brushed my hair or did anything for the last 3 days. I'm feeling pretty confident in regards to the results that I was able to get. Now, if you want to, like I said, when it comes to using pomade, you really only want to use it one time a week, unless you wash your hair, right? But with that being said, I typically try to wash pomade out of my hair when my hair starts getting really itchy, you know. So what will happen is, because pomade is a sealant, your hair won't be able to get moisture. But because I have low porosity hair, I can go anywhere between 4 to 7 days of using pomade. But people that typically have high porosity hair, what you may notice is you can only go maybe between 2, maybe 5 days, maybe even cutting it to 4 before you have to wash it out, because your hair requires a lot more moisture. You know what I'm saying? If you don't know anything about moisture, I'll make sure I link a video right above here that goes into detail about porosity and stuff of that nature. But with that being said, those are the things that you need to consider after you apply the pomade. If you wanted to go straight back into applying it, you can do that and basically come up with a routine that works best for you. But for me, I try to use pomade once a week if I choose to use it. And the only time I try to use it is when I really need my hair to bounce back and come back from rocking curls and stuff like of that nature. Hopefully this video answered every single question you need to know when it comes to getting waves with Murray's pomade. But if there are any other questions, make sure you put them down in the comment section below. I appreciate you guys for watching this video. Make sure you like this video. Every single like matters. At the end of the day, it tells YouTube that more people need to see this stuff. So with that being said, it's your boy J. Lou. Hope you guys have a great day. And at the end of the day, salute.
When I hop up out the bed, I stay brushing my waves. Even on my way to work, I stay brushing my waves. Oh, it's time for a break, I stay brushing my waves. Even when it get late, I stay brushing my waves. I stay brushing my waves. I stay brushing my waves. I stay brushing and brushing.